What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. I apologize for not getting an episode out yesterday, but welcome into Nuggets Today presented by Fan Arch. A couple things to talk about when it comes down to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets game, as well as talking about this upcoming San Antonio Spurs and Denver Nuggets game. The first thing I want to start out with is the fact that Nuggets game was important and it was meaningful for a few reasons. I mean, the finish perfect is something we'll get to in a little while, but when it comes down to the importance of that game, the main thing that I thought about is you want to see how competent these players are going into playoffs. And I know it sounds weird because they've been on your team. A couple of them have been on your team for a few years, but you get guys like David Roddy, you get guys like Curtis Jones, KJ Simpson, who only got a few minutes. I mean, Deron Holmes I would have loved to see more of, but we didn't get the chance. But these guys who might build in a rotation spot. And it sounds so weird to say that, but David Roddy dropped 21 points on 8 for 12 shooting. He shot 50% from the three-point line. He's a former first-round pick, and I always love these underdog stories because it's great for the player, it's great for the team. You see it all around the league. I mean, you saw Garshan Yabusele, you see Nemez Keita, you see a bunch of these players who leave the league, end up coming back and making a name for themselves. Do I think David Roddy is going to be a playoff player? Probably not, but the intensity, the heart, the offensive ability that he brings to the floor, if Spence isn't playing, if P-Watt is hurt, if AG goes down, you might see David Roddy now get some minutes just because of the offensive ability he brings to the floor. I mean, 2 steals as well as 2 turnovers and 2 personal fouls, but plus 14 when on the floor. It was also important because you look at the season highs. You have Curtis Jones, who has a season high, 7 points, which is fine. He's a two-way player. You have Julian Strawther, who drops 22 and has a season high. You have Jonas Valanciunas, who has 23 and has a season high. And then you have David Roddy, who has 21 and has a season high for the Denver Nuggets. So this game, like I said, it was so important because, one, it builds confidence for guys like Valanciunas, who may have been off because he wasn't getting the minutes he thought he deserved. For Julian Strawther, who is a very good player. He's been one of my favorite players on this team for a little while now, but doesn't really get the opportunity. I mean, Tyus Jones finally gets the opportunity, shoots 100% from the three-point line, which is great because now maybe Adelman will trust him enough to be able to play him in minutes that he needs. I mean, listen, it wasn't the best game in the world for him, right? You're not going to come in and ask him to do anything crazy. He has 2 turnovers, but sort of somebody who's just reliable and knows what to do with the ball when Jamal's out of the game, and I think that is huge. And I think that we've seen that from Tyus Jones in this past game. So that was huge. Jalen Pickett comes in. Still don't like him, but he shoots 3 for 6 from the three-point line. Just under 50% from the field, 13, 4, and 4. I don't mind Pickett as a player. I just don't think he's a backup point guard. I don't think that he's a point guard player. I don't think he's a point guard at all. He plays bully ball, and I get it. But as soon as he gets up the court, he turns his back. So this isn't a hate Pickett episode. I'm actually very happy with this Denver Nuggets team. And the one thing I will say, Zeke Naji, 3 blocks, comes out, shows the intensity that this Denver Nuggets bench, I feel like, could be lacking. He drops 5 points, but he grabs 6 boards and has 2 assists. He shoots 100% from the field and 3. So another good game by Zeke Naji off the bench, which may be another guy that you look at to come off the bench if Spence and Peyton Watson aren't playing, which they might not be. I mean, David Adelman's comment was something along the lines of their playoff or their availability before playoffs is up in the air, something along those lines. So not great, but at the same time, like I said, David Roddy could be a guy who steps up. Zeke Naji could be a guy who just comes in for a few minutes and plays aggressively. We saw that block, and it seems like he's unfazed when they checked out the text. So it could be a big opportunity for these guys to be able to build out a rotational spot for themselves. So in my opinion, that game was super important for the Denver Nuggets. Now, when it comes down to the OKC side, I usually don't like to say anything good about OKC, but I do have to say, I think that they have some young, promising talent. Now, we all know that Jared McCain is somebody who's going to be, or somebody that could be special in the league. They got him for a steal. I don't know what the Sixers were doing, but it's also the Sixers, so you can't really expect anything. I mean, Cam Payne's a guy who a few years ago was helping them out in a playoff run, and now they cut him for Dalen Terry, I believe, who the Knicks ended up trading at one point. I could be wrong about that. I know the Bulls traded him. So it's the Sixers. They trade him at what they thought was high value. I mean, 15 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 3 for 8 from the three-point line, which isn't great, but he doesn't turn the ball over much. He had 1 turnover. He has a quick form. You can't leave him open. And when it comes down to this playoff run, he could be a spark plug that teams don't even think about for the Oklahoma City Thunder because of how deep of a team they are. I mean, you look at who usually comes off their bench and who usually starts, right? They end up sitting everybody, which makes sense because Denver sat everybody, so why not retaliate and do the same thing to see which bench is better? And then, of course, you're going to go on Twitter or on X, and you're going to see all these Thunder fans who say, oh, well, see, Jokic has a better team. No, he does not. But when you look at who usually comes off their bench and even starts at times, I mean, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, and then Kenrich Williams, who gets his minutes from here time to time. But then obviously J-Dub's in that starting five. Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, AJ Mitchell, all these guys who end up coming off the bench. Jalen Williams, who also sat last night. Those are the guys who come off the bench. You don't really think about Jared McCain, which is crazy because he was in the Rookie of the Year voting before he gets hurt. So you don't really think about him, and then he ends up being a stud at times. So is he a little streaky? Of course he is. He's a young player who is still learning a role on a brand new team right before the playoffs. But at the same time, I think that he can come in and make a difference because when it comes down to guys like Aaron Wiggins, guys like Cason Wallace, guys like Isaiah Joe, you're going to force your attention to them because they've been in the system. They know what they're doing. Another guy over on OKC, and I know that he's on the older side of young, which is a little weird to say. I believe he's 26 years old. Brayden Carlson, 23, 12, and 5. 8 for 18 from the field, 3 for 10 from the three-point line. I know it doesn't sound great, but he's a big man. He's a center. And I think that him being able to learn under Chet and Hartenstein, who are two very good bigs, is massive. I know that Hartenstein's probably done. I believe it's this year is his last year of his deal. So I know that he's probably done. But being able to learn under him, who's one of the better passers in the NBA, and then you have Chet, who's one of the better offensive talents in the NBA, Carlson seemed to do it all. He grabbed 12 rebounds with 23 points, 5 assists, and he wasn't just shooting. His points didn't come from threes, although he took a lot of attempts. He was finishing at the rim. He had 2 monster dunks, 2 ferocious dunks for a backup center. And listen, he could be a late bloomer. Like I said, I believe he's 26, which is the same age as me. So it's a little weird because he's closer to 30 than he is to 20. But at the same time, we've seen late bloomers all the time. I mean, look at Jay Huff. You look at guys like I just mentioned before, Yabu, Nemez Keita, Isaiah Hartenstein, the guy he's learning behind, the guy that played on the Denver Nuggets and didn't get the minutes. So we've seen it all the time, and I think that he can really be a problem in this league if he's given the right opportunity with the right team. But he's also another guy who could be a sleeper when it comes down to playing in the playoffs. I mean, you might draw your attention to all these guys, and out of nowhere, Brayden Carlson, who doesn't really have much of a scouting report on the Oklahoma City Thunder, comes in, and next thing you know, he's tearing your team apart. So these two guys, I think, could be very good. And when it comes down to the Thunder, where you're going to have to figure out how to re-sign everybody eventually, it's good to have these kinds of guys on their team. The MVP conversation. 2 MVPs didn't play last night. 1 did, and that one is Victor Wembanyama. So Victor Wembanyama, actually, I believe he was. I don't even remember if he played or not. I just remember that he has eligibility. I'll check for you guys right now. And he did play. So he played against the Mavs. He drops 40, 13, and 5. They end up winning by 19 versus the Mavs, which is a good win for them. I mean, it's the Mavs. But him and Cooper Flag had a game. And now I believe because of that, he has now entered the MVP conversation strictly because of the NBA Cup games, which don't really count towards team record, I believe, but they counted towards games played for MVP. So now he's back in the race. Shea is in the race. Nikola Jokic cannot miss the game against the San Antonio Spurs, but guess what? The Spurs might sit Wemby now that he is eligible for the race. So do I think that Nikola Jokic is going to win it? No. Do I think it's atrocious that he's not going to win it? 100%. I understand Shea's second in scoring. I get Wemby's probably the defensive player of the year. He might be the unanimous defensive player of the year. I understand that. But neither of those guys are going to make history when it comes down to, I mean, I guess Wemby will make history if he wins unanimous, but none of them will make history when it comes down to leading the NBA in rebounds per game and assists per game. Nobody's ever done it. Wilt has done it 1 year, but it wasn't per game. He just led the NBA in assists. How's that work out? I don't know. But nobody's ever led both in wins or in assists and rebounds per game but Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is having a better season than his last MVP season. He's the only guy who is, I believe, top 10 in every single statistical category, the main 3 categories in the MVP voting, which, how do you not give it to that guy? He leads the NBA in everything except for points. I mean, like, not everything. I mean, you have blocks, steals, all that. But when it comes down to the MVP race, he is above every single MVP candidate in every single stat except for points. Tell me how he doesn't win it. But, I mean, listen, it's the voters. They want to give it to Shea. They want to give it to Shea. That's on them, I guess. But I still think that Nikola Jokic deserves it more than anybody. But it's going to be an interesting race now because if they want to rest him for the playoffs and they don't want to, have him be in the conversation, that's on them, I guess. And you just give it to Shea at that point. But Wemby's back in the conversation officially, and Denver takes on San Antonio, so it could be interesting. The last thing I want to talk about is the Denver Nuggets finishing perfect. And it sounds so weird because, one, you have the longest streak in Denver Nuggets history for wins when it comes down to having Nikola Jokic on your team. Now, you have the longest streak in wins with Nikola Jokic on your team, and you have the potential to extend that to 12-0 before the season ends, which means that's the best finish in Denver Nuggets history with Nikola Jokic on the team. It's crazy to think about. You go 12-0 against, I know it's the opponents weren't great, and David Adelman made a comment on that. He said we have games that we needed to win, and we ended up, we're ending up winning them, which is great because you just need to, your execution just needs to be there, and it seems like it has been. So, I would love to see this Denver Nuggets team finish 12-0. I don't want to say I want them to sit Wemby so that they do finish 12-0 because I do want to see them win the big games as well. So I'm sure that Nikola Jokic is going to play now to get the MVP or be in the MVP race and be All-NBA first team. But I don't know what the Spurs do. But this is the perfect opportunity for the Denver Nuggets to be the best they've ever been with Nikola Jokic to finish out a season. So that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Like I always say, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as well as comment down below if you guys want me to cover anything, and I'll talk to you guys later.